Hello and welcome to day 2 of Gardentober. So in our last video, we drew these beautiful Rudbeckia and just had a lot of fun kind of playing around with different reference images, exploring how to create even when you didn't have a super clear reference image. And today we're going to do something a little bit different with these snowdrops. So I'm filling in this watercolor sketchbook, but I thought it would be fun if we also explored some colored pencils. Now, a little bit of history real quick before we get started. I started my artistic journey professionally with colored pencils. Colored pencils was my primary medium really up until about 2017, 2018. After the birth of my son, when unfortunately I developed a kind of a carpal tunnel mother's thumb, and I wasn't able to use colored pencils anymore without being just in horrible, horrible pain all the time. So I had already been exploring watercolor at this point, so I decided to dive all in with watercolor, and I ended up really enjoying it, and I haven't really done a lot of colored pencil since then. In fact, the last time I did colored pencil was when I created this illustration, also for Gardentober, many years ago. So anyway, this return to colored pencils is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So this video will not be as much instructional because I'll kind of be feeling it through. If I remember correctly, it was very much like getting back on a bike, whereas I was working on it, I'm like, what on earth? I don't know what I'm doing. And then it very quickly became, oh, I got this. And it just felt very natural and like coming home again. So I'm hoping that that will happen. If you are interested in colored pencils or enjoy this video, I'd love to have a future video where I can give more of my instructions and tips and really be more like some of my other tutorials where we're talking through things so that you're able to then take colored pencils on with confidence. So to start, I'm going to use this kneaded eraser that has seen better days, and I'm just going to lighten our illustration. So I will have my reference image on the screen. I did start to film it, but apparently my audio wasn't on. And it was just a severe case of the Mondays, so I just decided to give up, at least on filming that side. Let's just look at what we're using today. So we're gonna pull in some white. I have putty beige, French gray at 20%, sand, yellow ochre, chartreuse, apple green, lime peel, olive green, and Tuscan red. And those are the colors that, just looking at the reference image and knowing myself, I'm pulling those out just to see. We will probably pull in from some other colors, but I will update you as that is happening. And I'm just going to sharpen these real quick off camera. All right, so we have our colors off to the side. Some of them are quite petite, so I'll be using my Perfect Pencil extender. If you are in the habit of dropping your colored pencils, the lead will break inside of the pencil, and then as you sharpen it, it will break off. This is my longest, the set that I've had the longest, and it shrunk quite a bit. A lot of it broke. So yes, I'll be using that. I think you could get stuff just like this. I used to just kind of use it until I really couldn't hold it anymore. But this is kind of a handy tool, something to kind of keep in mind if you are having that trouble. I'm just going to dive in, and if I feel like I start to figure some stuff out, I will jump in and let you know kind of what's going on. But again, I'm starting off with apple green just to kind of feel my way through this. I'm going to grab the olive green and add that into the shadow here before returning to our apple green. see that? The lead is just popping right out. Might have to sharpen it a little more to get in here. Dark green again, or what is this? Olive green. To really get this shadow in. This one's wiggly too, man. Looks like I'll be pulling in from all of these. Yep, this one pulled right out too. All right, I sharpened it a little differently because again, things are coming back to me. So normally you'd stick it straight in, but I put it at an angle so that it has a smaller tip as opposed to having this longer sharpening. So there's less to put pressure on and to break off. So we're gonna try that. Bear with me while things come back slowly. So I'm gonna move up here and chat a little bit. Like I said, things are kind of starting to come back. I'm kind of starting with, again, our apple green. It's kind of an all over color, and I'm just working on the stem and these green sections, and I'm just placing that in very lightly. So this is just a light shade just to kind of place some color down, and then I'm going back in right over top of it with some of our other colors, and then we'll blend them all together. So all of this section, we're just going to work in chunks. It's been covered with this apple green. Now I'm going to go back in with our olive green and add some shadows. So our light source is coming from our right-hand side, so the shadows will all be on the left. So I'm starting a little heavier, and then I'm allowing it to blend out, so getting lighter. Just like if you've taken my shading course, it's very similar to, except that we've switched to a deeper, slightly less saturated color. I'm doing the same thing on the sides of the stems, just with a quick pull down. Okay, this section loops over, so there's a shadow here. I'll have to make sure we highlight that section later. All right, I'm going to go in with a little bit of chartreuse just to kind of bring some warmth in. That might not be enough, but let's add that in just over here. Bring a nice glow to the whole thing. And this is on the highlighted side, so it's on the right-hand side where my shadows are on the left. Going back in with our apple green. And I'm pressing a little more firmly. I'm going a little slower, allowing things to kind of blend in together. Back in with the olive green. Just gonna pop a little bit of this again. So I've got it blended, and now we're adding a little more detail. chartreuse. Blending that in right to the edge, so the edge is allowed to kind of pop a little bit. All right, pulling from here. And I'm blending, you can see I'm making like little circles. That helps everything to blend without being too streaky. Olive green again. I think I'll have to go in and add either a contrasting color or something a little bit darker in here to really help these last bits to pop, but overall, I think that that's showing some good depth. So that's getting there. We're getting there. We're heading in the right direction. I like how this deep section kind of allows this to overlap this section, and we've got this nice little flip over here, but that little bright spot right here with the chartreuse, it's subtle, but I'm liking it. I'm going to go in with this, is it lime peel? Just a touch. Ooh. And just kind of see what this one adds, just because I was immediately drawn to it. Like that, don't love it. All right, we're just gonna move down, and if I think of something, I will interject and let you know my brilliant observation. Now, admittedly, this is not the most exciting colored pencil option, but it happened to be the one that didn't film for me in the drawing process. So, all that to be said, if colored pencil is something that you would be interested in seeing in the future, I really need you to let me know, whether it's in the comment section down below or by liking this video or sharing this video. Just let me know. If this does well, I'd be thrilled to do this again. But having not done colored pencil on YouTube, I confess I'm a little hesitant to jump into that. It feels a little bit like not my lane, even though that was my home for many, many years. So many pencil shapings. Chartreuse, just gonna pick this back up. Oh, look at how that just brought that back out. Good. I was thinking it should, but I wasn't sure if it was memory or, I don't know. This is white. I'm just using this to kind of pull up some of these high key areas. But it's very much the same thing. So shadows on the left-hand side with our olive green. And then on the right-hand side, we'll have our highlights with chartreuse, or what's this one? Lemon peel. All right, so for the leaves at the base, I went through with apple green, just like we have been, and then I went through with the olive green, a little bit heavier down at the bottom, just to kind of ground everything. And this is where naturally there would be kind of a larger mix of our shadows. I have not added any of the chartreuse. I am going to add that kind of at the top with some of these more wispy ones, but otherwise I'm going to keep that on some of these other sections. Then I'm going to go through with our lime peel and kind of add that in. I've kind of decided that if I were to start this now, I think the focus would be, I think I'd have lime peel on the greenery. Just kind of, that's my thought. Maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see if it works. Where's that extender? There it is. All right, I'm going to start with these broader sections just to kind of test this out. It wouldn't be unheard of for this to have a slightly different color or texture. Like that's pretty yellowy. I don't know. I don't know. Might go back in with our apple green after all, but let's just give it a shot. Yep, I already see we're going to be going in with our apple green. But I'm going to, for the sake of consistency, I'm going to carry this like slightly deeper shading in here, like a heavier color application throughout what I already have. Again, just to keep it consistent, and then just allowing that to kind of fade toward the top. So it can be something that adds some interest and dimension toward the bottom, but not going to be a main, it's not going to be completely different, if that makes sense. So again, just letting that kind of fade as it goes up. All right, back to our trusty apple green. Just a little too yellow, a little too different. I'm going to add in a little more of our olive green. I don't know why I can't remember. Our dark green color. And really kind of carve out some of that, some of this section. Since some of it's already blended out with that. Okay, let's just start at the top while we've got a point. So some of this is feeling very messy right now, where it's all kind of blending together. See how it all kind of looks together? We'll tighten this up and kind of tidy everything up as we go, but right now we're just getting everything, kind of that, some of that color laid on everything. But when we go back in and kind of add those finishing details, it will be defined again, I promise. I am going to quickly add a little bit of our olive green here, just so I don't lose that definition line, almost more as a note to self. All right, let's go back in and tighten this up. I'm going to use, I don't remember there being so many pencil shavings around. Okay, so down here, basically what I'm going to try and do, you can see here in this section, there's already a little more definition, a little bit more of a story being told, even if it's just this is where this stem comes down. That's what we're going to define, and it will help smoother kind of blend things out. See how quickly that already did that? So I'm going to kind of play around with this and see what we can come up with. I'm also going to go through a little bit with our chartreuse and our white, really through the whole thing, and just tighten everything up, make some of these angles nice and crisp in order to tell the story a little bit better. taking the white just to highlight and curve this right hand side. Oh, see how that pops much better. We're going to do just a little bit on some of these stems and leaves. Now, if you need it to be like a crisp white, you need to preserve that area rather than try to add it in later. But since I just really want to bring up a little more of a highlight, we're okay. Because unlike painting, you can layer. Unlike painting with watercolor anyway. And now I'm just adding in kind of our very deepest. You can go in with kind of a red or a brown or a nice crisp black tone just to help kind of further give everything a nice little pop. So I'm just going in, again, these are the areas that I want to kind of kick back the most in shadow. Not necessarily make as a focal color, but you can see how that just kind of takes that down just a little bit more. I might need to go in and blend it in, but I'm letting this be a little messier. Too much of a point. Okay, let's work on the blooms, which I'm a little nervous about because they are white. So I'm going to look at the reference image again. I pulled up this putty beige. Now let's just, sorry about that, off to the side, I'm just going to, this is a very taupey tone, and we've got French gray at 20%. This is a little cooler. This is probably what we're going to go with for this piece. I think that that will be a little bit closer to what I'm going with. I could grab a cool gray. Let me grab this cool gray. Oh, that one's pretty good. Now, do I want a gray undertone or do I want something kind of taupey? Oh, I don't know. Let's put a little bit of white and just see how these two blend. I think I'm going to go with the French gray and we'll just work lightly. Cool gray is probably, cool gray by 20%, probably more accurate, but I'm just enjoying some of that warmth, so let's roll with it. So I'm going to start at the base here, and I've got a decent point, and I'm going to shade this in. All right, so we've got kind of a highlight here where the color's glowing through, but here I've got a little bit of a shadow. So it's very similar to shading where I'm just pulling out kind of my deepest areas at the moment and I'm blending them in. And by just like shading, it's like traditional graphite pencil shading. And then here, even though in my reference image this petal, oh, I'm sorry, the focus isn't on. Even though in my reference image this petal is lighter, I'm actually going to deepen it just to show that it's in the background. Okay, we're gonna follow through with all of these. All right, so we have that placed in lightly. Now I'm going to add these little green rainbow dollops. I'm going in first with chartreuse very lightly and kind of drawing over where the curve is, that little upside down U or rainbow shape. And right at the base, I'm going to really get that nice and deep. So blending into the chartreuse, but keeping the really deep color down at the base. All right, now we're gonna go in with the white. I just kind of wiped this off. So make sure that there's no color on the pencil itself. And let's go in and blend it all in. Again, I'm still avoiding areas that I want to be nice and crisp white. I might need to go in with a little more French gray. I wanted to be conservative. And then blending in this green, because it has a very painterly effect, especially at the top. Yeah, I'm gonna need to go in a little bit more. Come here, French gray. Okay, so here it is with the white over it. It's close. It is not there. So we're gonna go in with a little bit more of our French gray. And bring that in a little bit, and then we're gonna blend with our white again. I'm kind of going around the perimeter a little bit more just so that I don't lose the shape overall, just because of where everything is. Just because I'm using white. I think we're gonna add in a background just to be safe. Just to be extra fun. But we'll see. Okay, that's not too bad. I think I'll end up kind of continuing to go in and tighten things up, kind of a little back and forth. But considering I would consider that a little trickier, and I'm pretty happy with where it's at so far. Might go in with our, let's do it, putty beige. And just using this neutral color to really see how we kind of carved that out so there's a little more definition. Okay, now rinse and repeat. That's cool gray, I want French gray. I think we're going to add a little watercolor to the base here real quick. So I'm going to go back in, and any highlights that I didn't cover with colored pencil, I'm going to make sure that my pencil, my white pencil, is nice and clean. I'm just going to fill in those highlights to create, hopefully, a resist over the page. All right, let's have some fun. Let's do a little bit of watercolor over this. Okay, so I have my palette. I want kind of a taupey color. So I'm just gonna grab what's already on my palette, which is some, let's see, sap green, ultramarine blue, Winsor yellow, and Winsor red. And I'm just gonna use my big brush, and I'm just gonna pull these in. And let's see if we get a nice dirty color. I can already see I'm probably gonna have to pull in some more red. But I kind of like how dirty this already is. What color is that? Dirty Pellet Brown is what we're going for. Just bring in all the colors. This is like a clean my palette while painting type thing. Come on, Windsor. Or that's ultramarine, not Windsor blue. There we go. See that color that's puddling? That's kind of what I'm going for. All right. I have not tested this in ages, if ever. So I do have a little bit of watercolor paper. It's watercolor paper. I don't know. So it should resist nicely. Okay. It's resisting okay. I think I'm going to take a little tissue. What if we go over that a bit? That's taking all of it up. Well, that's not what I want. Okay, so we're just going to be careful. I'm feeling kind of YOLO-y. So avoiding the blooms. I was hoping it would be enough of a resist to kind of keep it together, but I think we'll be all right. Pigment. It's almost like if I spilled tea on it. And you know what? I'm feeling it. Because I could have used this more for our herbal theme. Maybe we'll do a little repeat of this. But I'm liking it. What do you guys think? What do you think? Should I have left it white? I'm going to deepen it a bit down here just by picking up some of this pigment. No more water, and I'm just going to kind of tap it in. And it should spread out nicely as it's kind of drying and dispersing. We'll see. See how much I trust my own, what I say. All right, well, that was really fun. I hope that you enjoyed this, and just got another glimpse of kind of what Gardentober is supposed to be. It's a chance to experiment because you're being challenged to draw things you might not necessarily draw. I don't usually go for these more very geometric, very symmetrical flowers. I prefer floppy, romantic, whimsical, messy flowers like roses and, you know, like anemones and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things I don't normally go for, but it was a chance for me to kind of play around with something. Play with something that I haven't played with in ages, like colored pencils. And then, you know, why stop there? Let's do something more. Let's add some watercolor to it. We're working in a watercolor notebook after all. So it was fun, and we cleaned my palette, so I'm ready for another watercolor. Anyway, I hope that you found this tutorial helpful, fun. If you'd like to see more watercolor in the future, let me know. I am feeling pretty good about it, and I think that I could jump in maybe with something with a little bit more color, a little bit more playfulness, that I would feel more confident in giving you instructions in. Anyway, I hope that you are enjoying Gardentober so far. I hope that you, if you haven't joined me, that you are encouraged to do so. And I hope that you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, happy drawing!